Hello, amazing person. Welcome to Dear Catalyst Coach, my companion podcast for my weekly blog posts. I'm your host, Rebecca Cooley. I've been helping leaders in Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies achieve their career and communication goals for over 15 years. My specialty is helping leaders go rogue, helping them to create catalytic and lasting change for themselves, their employees, their organizations, and their families, overcoming hurdles of limiting mindsets, anxiety, lack of confidence, fear, and so much more. Each week, I offer a reading and unpack this week's post, sharing additional stories from my life, including how I went rogue. Rebecca's Gone Rogue is my favorite way of being described by one of my previous employers. I'm very proud of my legacy. Plus, I go deep on all things introversion, leadership, career shifts, stress reduction. I'll be answering questions like, how do I determine if I should make a career change? How can I improve my work-life balance? How do I overcome imposter syndrome? How do I reduce my public speaking anxiety? How do I increase my confidence in dating and socializing? And how do I set boundaries with people in my life, reduce negative self-talk, overcome the feeling of not enough, and why is self-love so hard for me? And so much more. Tune in each week for new episodes and get inspired to take action, to go rogue in your life, to start an inner revolution, and to be the catalyst in your own life. A bit more about me. I was named top 16 coaches in Raleigh. I graduated with honors with an MPA concentrating in strategic leadership. I'm a certified master coach and a certified meditation instructor with over 1,500 hours of stress reduction training. Ready for a partner to join you during this revolutionary time in your life? You can reach me at www.catalystactioncoaching.com. I offer private executive coaching and corporate training for teams globally. Excited to connect with you and wishing you lots of peace, joy, and freedom. Hello, wonderful person. Welcome to this week's episode, Oh, the Humanity. In the age of ghosting, how can we do dating and relationships more humanely? And how can we say goodbye with kindness and take rejection with grace? So let's face it, rejection is a B, especially when it comes to dating. Whether you are the rejector or the rejectee, it's going to happen. Either you or they are going to experience rejection. So how can we navigate rejection both as the receiver or the giver is such a telling sign of one's humanity. And whether people believe in karma or not, personal growth and where an individual is in their love of humanity definitely is exemplified in their chosen way of saying their goodbyes. Nothing lasts forever, all experiences are temporary, and change is the only constant. So rejection in dating is going to happen, and how we do it makes a difference. And how we experience it when it happens to us makes a difference. So let's break it down. As the rejector, know that it's okay to say no to anyone at any time for any reason. Let yourself off the hook and don't feel guilty for walking away or even sprinting away from someone or a relationship that is just not working for you. We all too often stay in situations and with individuals way longer than is healthy for us. Whether it's because we're too nice to cut it off or we just feel unjustified in leaving, we find reasons to stay. Guilt can make us stay. We may feel bad for leaving a relationship or bad for rejecting a person. We ourselves have been rejected. We know what it feels like, and we have vowed to not put anyone through that ever. But this is not a realistic promise, and we know it. We cannot make an absolute promise to never reject a person or break up with them or eventually leave. So many compelling factors come into play when we decide to stop dating or end a relationship. Those reasons matter. We're not choosing to hurt the person by leaving. It is not a choice to see them hurt or suffer by our decision to say no. The person may inevitably get hurt, but you have not done that to them. There is not a victim in this scenario. They may make you feel as though you intentionally hurt them by choosing to leave or stopping dating them, but this is their convoluted pain. Don't take on their pain by agreeing with them. You are at all times free to stay and free to go. You are in your power to choose, and by choosing what makes you happy, you are also simultaneously empowering yourself and empowering them. You empower them by showing what it looks like to walk away with kindness. You empower them to find someone who wants to be with them. You're doing them a favor by freeing them up for someone who is a better match for them. Unraveling from someone after years in a relationship is wrought with grief, emotional heartbreak, financial issues, and that can not only be stressful but also emotionally taxing, but it is still not a situation where guilt is warranted. No relationship is guaranteed forever, and we all know hearts change. We all know that to remain in a happy, healthy, fulfilling relationship that is in line with our values, both partners need to do their part to grow alongside each other. How this applies directly to dating and shorter term relationships is that our value and our choice guide the experience. The right in either context, short term or long term, to say no thanks, this just isn't working for me. But too often we stay when we know we should go. We either continue dating people despite red flags or stay in long term relationships way past the expiry date. We've all done it at some point. Some of us have a pattern of doing it. So what's this all about? Sometimes we do not know ourselves well enough to know what we want in a relationship. So we try things out, and once we figure out it's not the best match, whether that takes hours or years, instead of justifying our reasons to leave, we justify our reasons to stay. We invalidate and ignore that nagging voice in the back of our head that says, this just isn't it. Sometimes even when we know ourselves well, we ignore the signs or invalidate our reasons for leaving. Fear of being alone, fear of guilt, fear of uncertainty can make us stay. At times, we may be the person in the relationship who brings up the issues or the unhappiness. We make changes, compromise our values, water down what's important to us, so that what remains is a watered down version of ourselves, barely recognizable, small, quiet, lackluster, disempowered. All in the name of staying in the relationship because we need a better reason to leave. I want to say you are that better reason. Your voice, truly being heard, listened to, matters. Your shine matters. Your sense of empowerment matters in all areas of your life, not just dating and relationships. So if you are the rejector, embracing that rejection is a part of life. You cannot avoid it because of guilt or fear. That invalidates you, your life, and your happiness. You cannot avoid rejecting someone you're dating because you want to avoid hurting their feelings. People's feelings are going to get hurt. You can't remain in situations where you know it's not a good fit. It's not fair to you or them. All we can do when we are doing the rejecting is do it with love, kindness, and compassion. Treat the person you are rejecting with dignity and respect. Remember, just like you, they have fears and hopes and dreams. Just like you, they experience emotional hurt when being rejected. Just like you, they also at one point or another hope the relationship would last, or if dating, hope the connection would grow into something special. When rejecting, reject in a way that you would want to be rejected. Blame is not a part of it. Take 100% ownership of your choice. Remember that you've done all you can do to communicate, repair, and heal the relationship if it's long term, and walk away knowing that you are making space for both of you to find a better match, and it's okay. As the rejectee, rejection is painful no matter how you shake it. If you're dating, there may be someone you especially like. You may hope for a future together or even just hope for continued time together. You may begin to have feelings for them. You've invested time, energy, attention into this person. Whether it's been one conversation, one date, or many months, getting rejected is not going to be easy. If you're in a long-term relationship, you've built a life together, and unraveling from your life together and each other may feel unbearable. Rejection can sometimes feel out of the blue. You may feel there were signs, but somehow you missed them. Rejection can certainly kick up old wounds, and in some of us, trigger trauma. For longer relationships, your head may be reeling from overanalyzing when did things go wrong or go off track, and the grief and pain and heartbreak may be an undeniable part of that rejection. How we manage rejection and our resilience is so important to minimizing our stress and whether or not we internalize the rejection. So here are a few tips. Remember that you have also been the rejector at one time. It's so important to remember this so we step into a place of compassion for the person rejecting us, rather than vilifying them for being honest about their choice to say goodbye. Remember that it's not personal. Their choice to move on is valid from their perspective, even if you don't understand it. Remember, even if they have shared the reasons and you did your best to change, it is ultimately not about you, but about their preferences. You and only you know if there are changes that you need to make, and only you can make those changes so you can be the best partner for the next relationship. Remember that with one ending, there's a new beginning around the corner for longer relationships and may take time to heal before you're ready to date again, but in time you will when you're ready. And remember to offer yourself grace and also not break up with yourself during this breakup. Don't give in to shame or feeling like something is wrong with you. Stay connected with yourself. Above all, whether we are the one saying goodbye or experiencing the goodbye, releasing the guilt, shame, and fear is important. Who we spend our time with is a choice. Who we decide not to spend our time with is also a choice. We can say goodbye with kindness and compassion. We can do it humanely. We can offer everyone dignity and respect. We can receive goodbyes with grace. We can navigate rejection in a resilient way. And we can do it by staying connected with ourselves and saying yes to ourselves. Ultimately, we all deserve to be with someone who wants to be with us, who chooses us, and to be free to find the person we want to be with, who we choose. Choice matters. Every day we are with someone is a choice both people have made. Nothing's guaranteed and nothing's permanent. Change is inevitable. Goodbyes are just part of the deal. Time to unpack this week's blog post. Man, rejection is hard. I know we've all been through it. We've all either been the rejector or the rejectee, but no matter how you shake it, it's just tough. It's just a tough experience. And I'm personally going through a breakup right now, and it's been hard. It's been very hard to navigate the rejection piece of this, and to be both on the receiving end as well as the person that has stepped away, but also been stepped away from. So in my situation, it was kind of a both experience. So getting to experience both sides of that has been interesting and challenging, and uh, navigating this part of my journey has definitely offered me a lot of space for growth and learning about myself, and also learning about how I want to be in future relationships, especially when it comes to saying goodbye if needed. So I've been dating, and that's been, again, another interesting aspect of this part of my journey. And, through dating, there are going to be people that have said no to me, and then people that I'm going to be saying no to as well. And just being able to do that with humanity and dignity and grace, for both myself and them, it's just so important. I know that we're living in this age where people can just say no, and sometimes they don't express that no to the other person. They'll just drop off or stop talking, especially in dating. And so I have both experienced that, and early on, not recently, I'm happy to say, but years ago, just dropping off. And it is not the best, in terms of how we can continue to grow and be with each other in our lives, whether we're strangers, just getting to know each other, or even having longer relationships. Having the courage to say goodbye in a dignified way that gives the other person respect and shows care and even tenderness, even in just dating, maybe even when before you even get to the dating stage, where you kind of realize, oh, okay, this person is probably not the best fit for me. And being able to navigate how to say that in a tender way, because again, we're all humans here and we all have feelings. No matter what, rejection's going to hurt. So, yeah, I've just been making a point lately, if there is a no for me, if there's someone that's not in line with my values, someone that is not quite a good match for me, just identifying what it is that I'm looking for, knowing that about myself, but then also being able to express in a kind way, this just isn't gonna work out. This isn't a good fit for me. This is what I'm looking for, and wish you the best of luck in your search. So I think it's key to remember that this is all about choice. Every moment that we spend with somebody, every day that we choose to spend with someone, every date that we decide to go on, this is a choice of how we spend our time, our attention, our energy, and our focus. And knowing that there are only so many hours in a day, where we spend our time, our energy, and our focus is so important. So who we're choosing to spend our time with is going to be a huge element of what's going to bring us happiness, joy, um, and then knowing what do you want from those relationships and those interactions. Fun, excitement, um, passion, whatever it is, just being very clear with yourself, and then also very clear with others, that openness, that honesty, so that there's no, as much as possible, we're mitigating the expectations, so that people, or mitigating the potential hurt as much as possible. It's not inevitable. People will get hurt. But we can't control other people's feelings. And people may have an intense liking for us where we don't feel the same way, and the same, then vice versa. You may have an intense liking for somebody and they not feel the same way, and it's okay. So just recently, there was a person I was communicating with, and we just realized that our values were different. What we were looking for was different. We went on a couple of dates, and it was after the second date that we realized this is not the best match in terms of what we're looking for at this time for dating. And you say goodbye with peace and dignity, and if you're being said goodbye to, just taking that with grace and not letting it impact or affect how you feel about yourself. I think that's key. I think too often when we get rejected, um, we can definitely have that moment where we feel there is something going on with us, something wrong with us. The shame can kick up. And the shame can kick up even more so if we've been through past interpersonal trauma or pain from early on in our lives. So sometimes we completely avoid rejection altogether by not putting ourselves out there, by not dating, by not being involved in relationships. And of course, we're selling ourselves short because as the amazing person that you are, and the wonderful person that you are, with all the great qualities that you have, not sharing that with others, is, while it's certainly your choice, I think that one of the ways that I have personally grown so much in my life is by engaging, by putting myself out there, by, having relationships, being in relationships, dating, getting to know people, and letting them get to know me. So it does take a definitely a level of trust and vulnerability. Um, to put yourself out there, but the reward of connecting with others is so important. At least it has been in my life. Of course, being hurt, of course we want to avoid that. It makes sense, especially if we've gone through um, past traumas, interpersonal traumas. It makes sense to protect oneself and to avoid rejection at all costs. Makes sense, but at the same time, considering those costs is going to be really important. There have been times in my life where I have certainly held back from letting myself get close to people, both romantically as well as with friendships, and even in my family relationships because of past pain. And in some of those instances, it's warranted, and in some instances, it wasn't warranted. So, this journey of discerning when can I trust and who can I trust, and when is it appropriate to be vulnerable, and what are the benefits of being vulnerable, and the benefits of letting people into my life, and facing my fear of rejection so that I can have experiences, have interactions and relationships that are fulfilling and can bring so much to my life. It's definitely an act of courage to date. It's an act of courage to talk to people. It's an act of courage to have relationships. It's an act of courage to let your guard down, let yourself be loved, and to love another person. So just kudos to you if you're navigating that right now, and also kudos to you if you're investigating what is holding you back from doing that, because it's part of our human experience is to have that connection, and we all know that, and we all seek that. No matter what level of introversion we all seek connection. So I am part of a group that I have facilitated. I think we're going on 8 years now. It's called Introverts Unite. And this particular group, a lot of the questions come up around dating, and there's also like a lot of fear of rejection that comes out in terms of our questions in the group, um, around how do I put myself out there when I am, experiencing that fear of rejection? How do I date when I feel judged? How do I navigate conversations with people in a dating context when I don't know what to say because I feel like I'm being judged? So there's definitely that safety feeling, that vulnerability feeling, that fear of rejection, and that concern of, if I let my guard drop, how will I be hurt? And so, of course, like I said, we cannot avoid the hurt in when we put ourselves out there and we allow ourselves to be known and to get to know others. It's just part of the deal. But what we can do is really build up our own sense of resilience within ourselves and not allow our experiences with rejection, whether being rejected or rejecting others, to create an identity of who we are. For instance, if we're being rejected, not allowing ourselves to go into that place of shame and thinking, okay, there's something wrong with me. Really guarding against that so that we become resilient and continue to put ourselves out there and try again, knowing that not every experience is going to be the same. Even if there have been repeated experiences in our past where we've felt rejected or have been rejected, it's not always going to be the same, right? To really uh, challenge that absolutist thinking. It's never worked before. It's not going to work again. No, just really challenging that and and offering yourself grace and compassion, offering the other person grace and compassion, not vilifying anybody that rejects us, and also not vilifying ourselves if we ourselves need to reject somebody too. Just coming to that back to that place of choice. We all have a choice and we all make choices every day about everything, including who we spend our time with. So just remember that goodbyes are part of the deal. Nothing's permanent. You've got this. You've been listening to Dear Catalyst Coach with me, your host, Rebecca Cooley. Thanks for being here. Ready for a partner to join you during this revolutionary time in your life? You can reach me at www.catalystactioncoaching.com. I offer private executive coaching and corporate training for teams globally. I'm excited to connect with you and wishing you lots of peace, joy, and freedom. Talk soon.